Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me again. Today is my last day of my garden series. I'm Brandy from Brandy Gale Health and Fitness, and so far we've talked about everything from finding a spot for your garden that is sunny for several hours during the day, all the way up to planting and maintaining your vegetable garden. So now that you've put in all the hard work, it's time to enjoy the fruits of your labor, right? Well, big problem I had when it was time to harvest was I don't know when these are ripe. Like, I had never done a garden before, and like I shared earlier, my mom and dad planted corn, but that's not a vegetable garden, so I can tell what corn is ripe, but telling when anything else was ripe, I was clueless. So, I wanted to share with you a little bit about what I learned last year, and then also I found a website article from the University of Illinois Extension Center that actually it has a lot of great information on several different types of vegetables. So I'm going to share that with you, and if that doesn't help, then I say you should Google it. I have found that Google is a very great source. You have to kind of be careful of where you're going, but Google and YouTube have all sorts of videos and images of how to tell when your vegetables are ripe. So, when I was doing my garden last year, what I decided, or I was actually kind of surprised at how I knew when they were ripe. So, like my tomatoes were bright red, and so I knew they were ready. Although actually you can pick your tomatoes when they're still a little pink. You can go ahead and pull them off and bring them in and set them in a windowsill, and they would continue to ripen. So that kind of helps them from over ripening and splitting. So if you're having a problem with them splitting, try pulling them off when they're still pink. Or if you're having a problem with bugs getting to them, pull them a little bit early and let them ripen in a windowsill. So that's with tomatoes. Peppers, I had a problem with my peppers last year, and I don't know if it was, I never really did figure out what the problem was, but they kind of turned like a dark brown and viney, and I'll post a picture of that with my blog post so that you can see what I'm talking about. But they tasted fine. They just looked really funny. So I don't know if they weren't getting enough water or if they weren't getting enough sun. Somebody had told me that they had thought it was when they were overripe, but the size of them wasn't the size of what I would consider a bell pepper. So I'm not real sure what happened with those. But anyways, with my peppers, I knew that they were ready because of the size, and then also they kind of start to get shiny. And then my peppers, I had green, red, and chocolate peppers. And so judging on from the color of the peppers, then I kind of knew when they were ready. Zucchini and yellow squash was the other thing that I planted last year, and I already shared that they didn't go very well. I did have a few that I was able to pick before my plants got completely destroyed by bugs. Those I just kind of went off based on the size that you buy them in the store. The website that I was referring to says about 6 to 8 inches is a good size. If they get too much bigger, I've heard that they get bitter. And then, so that's kind of what I went with last year, was just kind of the size that I was used to buying in the grocery store. And then of course I did a couple of Google/YouTube videos too, to double check to make sure if I was pulling them right. Sorry if that's not very helpful. Like I said, I'm still a beginner gardener myself, and I'm just trying to share a little bit with you what I learned last year. So I will post those resources for you so that you have them and are easier to find from this post. The last thing I wanted to talk about is, what do you do with all those vegetables after you're done harvesting them, right? Well, the obvious answer is that you're going to eat them. And that's great for when you have just enough for your family. But what happens when you get so many that you can't eat all of them? So I would suggest sharing them with friends, family, coworkers. Generally, a lot of people are not afraid to turn down homegrown vegetables. If you are having a problem even giving them away, you can, or if you would prefer to keep them and can them. Or I know peppers can be diced or julienned and be ready, put in a Ziploc bag and be frozen, and then you pull them out and use them in your casseroles or your eggs or in your cooking. So that is something you can do with peppers. And I know zucchini you can shred for baking items. And that freezes really well. You freeze it in 1 or 2 cup portions so that you have it ready for recipes. And another tip that I would use for shredded zucchini is try, if you're having problems with your family eating vegetables, sneak it into your chili or your spaghetti sauce or something. That shredded zucchini is so thin that nobody even notices that it's in there. So that's a good way to sneak in the vegetables for the family. Tomatoes, I did not have good luck holding tomatoes. I always had more than we would eat, but I never had enough to quite can. So I would hold them in the fridge, and then when I would pull them out to try to do a batch of canning, then they had gone bad or moldy or mushy. So I did not have very much luck with saving tomatoes last year. So if you find something that works for you, please share it with me, because I would love to find out what it is that I can do with a partial batch of tomatoes. So please feel free to do that. And I would love to hear what you did with all your vegetables that you grew this season. So please check back and let me know what you've done. I would love to hear it. I thank you for joining me for my entire garden series, and I will see you next week with a new series, which I haven't decided what it is yet, so I can't share that, but I will see you later. Bye.